Isha, how are you?
Hey Ivo, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing well, Ivo. Good to see you. I know you had a very busy week traveling, and thanks everybody for tuning in. My name is Misha Zubarev. I'm from the customer experience, and Ivo, amazing Ivo from the Genius Bar. We're here to talk about a very interesting topic, very a detailed, deep topic, a topic that might require several sessions. Is LumApps languages, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the settings, some of the practices around it, and we're also going to configure some pages as well. But first, let's go into the pro tip of the week.
What is it
So,
about? Okay, I see.
this one, I think we've touched on it last time, but we didn't get the right amount of insight right from the about this micro language management with micro apps, because this today is actually the language topic of advanced languages, managing languages. I figured this is a good time to show it. Ivo, is there anything that you would like to talk about
Sure.
here?
Yes, of course. If I may, in fact, this feature is so well. It's so fresh. It's still warm from the oven, in the sense that it has been made public. I think yesterday, so it's following the announcement from the R1 release that LumApps made. I think 2 weeks ago. And now, effectively, that feature has been shipped. So this one, I am quite sure that you know it. It's the micro apps designer. So it's somewhere here in this developer portal, right? So in the developer portal at LumApps, you can define a new extension. We have seen that very often during our ADC live sessions. And thanks to this new feature that LumApps has just added, you can localize a micro application. So it takes the form of a new button that appears here on the top of the window. And its label is Manage Translations. Well, at the moment, this button is grayed out. Let me show you how to enable that button. So translations make sense when you have some kind of content that is being presented to the user, right? And so in this case, for example, we can add an adaptive card that is a UI that will be shown to the user, right? So in this case, we are going to display a localized window, right? This will be the name of our adaptive card. And in our adaptive card, we are going to to show a message to the user. So in this case, we're going to print something on the screen, such as hello user. And let me save this adaptive card. Now, this localized window will be shown to the user from the beginning. So this is the beginning of the workflow. And as a very first step in the micro app workflow, we will be displaying a window to the user. So here, for example, the button as now is clickable, and when I click this manage translations, in fact what I see is that I have the English version. This application has been configured to use English as a default language, and so every supplementary language that I am going to add will be another version of the localization. So in the very specific case, what we are going to see today is that, for example, we are going to add a new language, French in this case. And so hello user will be bonjour utilisateur. And so with this interface, you can see all the strings that will be displayed to the user. In this specific case, I have typed hello user in the adaptive card UI, and so you can see hello user that will be populated automatically if you modify your adaptive cards. And then you have, as the title reminds you, English to the French translation. And so all the uh, strings in your adaptive cards will be present here in this list, and you will have the possibility to type their translation in this text field that you have on the right. So now let's save this, and let's open it again. And you can see that we have English, that is the source language, and then we have French. You can add as many languages as you wish. And so, for example, let's add Italian. Ciao utente. And so once we have this, we can move across all the available versions, right? And when we are done, we have just to save this. So now we just have to click on the play button to run the micro application. Now in this interface, we have a new um, item to pick from a list. This is the language in which we want to display our micro app. And in particular, we have to select one from one of the available language versions. And so we have available English, French, and Italian. That are the versions that I have configured in my previous step. So let's see how it looks like in Italian. Our micro app will look like this. And so that's it. That's everything about the localization of micro apps. So right now I can save micro app and it will be available directly in our sandbox. That's about all about this new feature. So this is supposed to show you how you can add several localizations to your micro apps and make your micro app international.
Which is really
So
great because now it enhances the capabilities as well as on mobile, right? With multi languages and when micro apps are plugged in, um, and it's obviously for global companies, multi-language instances. This is a very useful feature that LumApps has added.
that's true. And compared to the old experience that you had as a developer, well, it's really, really easy to localize a new widget. Well, maybe it's not as powerful as an extension widget that you could be preparing with the LumApps extension SDK, but it's very, very simple and it can localize your existing applications in a matter of what minutes. So it's kind of easy.
Yep,
That's
saves a lot
really an
of time.
advantage.
Definitely saves a lot of time and resources. Thanks you very much. This was very helpful, very, very insightful, and it's very timely for our LumApps languages discussion. So what we're excited about is actually another experience we've been working on building. Still in progress. It is new. It's called the Content Summary extension. And essentially, what this content summary, which it does, like it implies, it uses AI to summarize the contents on the page. Generally good for knowledge contents, communications, announcement contents, long contents, release notes, things that require summaries. There's also follow up, and essentially, this helps in the employee experience space to use AI to interact with the content in a very intelligent way. Some of the other cool features of this content summary widget is that it has text to speech, and you can configure the text to speech model. You can configure the voice. You can choose the voice to be a female voice or a male voice with a British accent, English accent, or any kind of accent you like. It's enterprise grade, so you can customize the AI solution that's used for the AI for the summary. Also, you can custom and the page admin actually can customize the voice, the choice of voice. They can do a lot of things here, which makes it a very good enterprise grade experience, specifically around the knowledge based use case. I just want to show it very briefly in our environment here. This is a knowledge content piece. This has four of our extensions: the table of contents, dynamic table of contents, and then that's one of them. And it has also the estimated reading time, shows me this page is 2 minutes. And this is a summarized widget. So it just kind of gives you the page summary. You can interact with the summary and ask it, for example, how many steps are there to deploy the application, or just anything that interacts that content this page. Maybe I can even ask it. Let's see if this works. Could you translate the summary into French? Um, so here, there it is, translated to French. And then I have the voice, so I can play the voice and it'll.
This document introduces a new DevOps platform designed to accelerate software delivery.
And obviously in the back end, you can customize the voice, type of voice, like we said before. Again, a great solution, something we're definitely excited about because it really ups the level of the LumApps experience, especially around knowledge contents, communications contents, and that's something that we're hoping to present today. Okay, so LumApps languages 101. First of all, just a quick reminder, please post your comments, ask questions on LinkedIn. That's really the best and only way right now to ask and to interact with us. You and I will be monitoring our LinkedIn page. So if you do have a question, say it, ask it. We'll bring it up live on the screen, and we'll be able to see it, and everybody else will see it too. Okay, Ivo, you ready for trivia, ADC trivia of the week? Okay, here we go. This is a tough one. I gotta tell you, this is a tough one. So that is our Jeopardy question. Let's go to our class learning. We're gonna learn today about our languages. Testing work.
I'm ready to be tested.
Knowledge, okay. As long as you're right. This is a tough one. I don't know if I would. So this is using our, by the way, survey extension here. So question number one: the best practice to set up the main navigation for multi-language support is to update the main navigation elements with desired language, or update the page title in desired language, or just sit back, relax, and let AI do it for you.
Well, I think that it's even if I would love to have an AI that is doing that for us, it's still not the case, isn't it?
So let's select A. Let's see if you're right. Next question. If a user has set the primary language to French, the site default language is Spanish, and the other site language, the secondary one, the alternative one, is German. Which is the expected language of the interface for this user? What language will you see the page in first if their primary language is set to French, but site defaults are Spanish and German? What do you think, Hugh? Is it German? Will they see the comment?
No, I would say that. And do we have a localization for the current page for French or
You're right, spot on. That's a great question. Yes, the page that is localized in both French, German, and Spanish. That's the assumption here. Thanks for asking.
Okay, so French.
French. Okay, very good. And then next, third question, testing LumApps knowledge. In order to activate the language on a site, it must first be set up as an available language where user settings, platform settings, or site settings. In order to activate a language on a site, it must be first set up where?
In the site, I would say.
Site settings. Okay, very good. Submit. See what you have.
Cross the fingers. Ah!
The first update, the good practice is always update the page title in the page itself.
Okay.
We'll see then the second one's correct. It is the French language. You got it. And then the third one is site settings. Use is platform settings. So in order to activate language on a site, in order to activate, not to activate it, it must be first set up as an available language where. So in order to activate on a site, in order for it to be available on the site, we'll soon see it has to be first actually set up on the platform settings. So if the language is not available in platform settings, it won't be active on the site. Maybe the language was confusing in the question. So it could be that as well. So you might have had the right answer in mind, but it's okay.
Artificial
Evo
is always worth it.
Evo is a massive movie, so it could be the wording as well. So without further ado, let's go into our LumApps languages and just look a little bit about it. So first of all, there are kind of two elements or two areas of the language. There's the interface language itself, where the user sees once they get into a page and they see the page itself, and that's the interface language. We'll talk about that. And there's also the second part of it, which is the contribution language, the language in which the content that the user's own reading has been created. Just anywhere else in LumApps, there's a user, the kind of reader, read only, and then there's the contributor, the one who creates the content. So how is language detected and displayed for the user? So that kind of goes back to the second question we asked, right? That's really kind of thought-provoking question with a lot of logic behind the scenes, right? So really, the LumApps will ask, so if assuming that the content was created in multiple languages, in one of the languages that obviously is available on the site, in the site settings, then the LumApps will ask the following things in order to determine in which language the user will actually see the contents. First, it's going to ask, is user's primary language set in their settings, in their user settings of LumApps? Oh, if not, is there a secondary language set? Always default will be the primary language from when looking at the content. And if not, what is the secondary language? If neither of those are set, it'll look at the browser language itself. What is the browser language of the user? And then if that's not set, it's going to look at the default site language of the user. It's going to show the content in that default site setting, right? And then finally, what is the alternative or secondary site language? So in the case of where I'm a user who has who's got a page, I'm a French user. I have my language set as primary French. I'm looking at a page that both has French as well as English, which both are, and English is the primary language of the site. Even though English is the primary site language, and the content has both English and French, because my individual language is French that I have set up in my primary language settings, it'll show me the language in my primary language. If it doesn't, if the language does not exist, it'll show by default, it'll show the language in which the content was created in LumApps using one of those site languages. So if a content isn't available in my primary language, it will default to a secondary language of that specific of the language of the site in which it was created in. So that this way, no content, at least on the content list, doesn't appear blank. And here's a documentation source, so you can read more about it. We'll share the slide deck afterwards on the Hive, so you can read more about this. This is a little bit more going down to the weeds. This logic tree of how languages are configured, both in navigation as well as in the content element. The one that is really more relevant here is the one that's on the right side with the content elements, and really goes through the logic tree that we just discussed in a very basic slide earlier, talking about what is the expected behavior, what content element, how the user will see the content element in which language based on all the settings that they currently have. And this is the slide here. I'm going to pause for a second to make sure there's no questions or comments, because this is a very important one. Okay, it doesn't look like we have anything. Going forward, so what can be translated in LumApps? So this is just, again, some examples from LumApps and of things that can be translated, community and space elements, right? And we're not talking about things that are translated using the Google API translate on the posts or on content. We're talking about things that actually can be hard coded in the back, right? So community and space elements. So for example, we can translate the name of the community, the URL, the community base URL to a specific language, the description of the community that can be translated into language, content streams and the platform settings that are used for mobile, for other areas, right, throughout LumApps. You can, for journeys, etc., you can use those as well. Content types, types of contents, etc., can all be translated. Directories, just the user directory can be translated, the name, URL, directory entries, which is kind of like the links, and they're kind of like templates. You can translate those to any language in the page settings. Metadata categories, as well as individual metadata values, can be translated as well. Can be localized. Some navigation items can be localized. Site settings, like such as site logo, can be customized per language, which is very interesting. You can, if you're a different language, one site, most languages, you can customize a separate site logo. Fave icon, site title, all these can be localized to a specific language or one individual site. Terms and conditions, you have that feature activated on your site. You can translate the HTML content box for terms and conditions as well to that specific language. Widgets, obviously I'm not gonna go through all the list, and there's a lot more things that can be found again on this LumApps documentation. Okay, going to the next page. So platform and sites. So this was kind of coming back to the first question. In order for any site to have a language, that language first must be selected on the platform level, and it has to be available within the platform. Now, the platform admin can really has the full control to go in and set up as many languages as they like. The platform has, maybe now it's like 80 languages, maybe 100. I lost track. I remember we started, we only had like 30 or 40 languages. This was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Now it's really extended by a lot. So a lot of languages that are available, and these will be obviously available to be selected on the site level, and they'll be unique per site. So every site admin can go in and choose the type of language that they want to have on their specific site. And then obviously this selection here that is selected on the platform is going to impact the contribution language, right? And the interface language as well. So the user goes to admin to their settings, the ability to choose the language that are set up not on the site, but on the platform, which is a very important point. And obviously selecting the site default language as well, which is also unique per site. Each site has its own default languages unique for that specific site. That's the way LumApps designed it, which is a very smart way. Okay, and so let's actually go into the product and look a little bit deeper into LumApps. So here, let's go first of all into the settings. We'll go into platform settings here. Platform settings. So here, this is what we have. We can choose the available languages, right? So if I can go, as you can see, there's a lot more languages to be selected. There's Georgian, there's Galician, Frisian, there's a lot of languages I don't even know, so, it makes me feel that there's so much more to learn out there, right? So these are the languages that are selected on the platform level. I'll know these languages that are selected from here. Then we go back to the site, inside settings. This is where you can choose from those available languages in the platform which ones the site admin wants to actually add to their specific site. So if a language is not in the platform, it will never appear here, and the site admin can govern themselves to which languages to restrict the site to. Conversely, if I go to my user profile settings here in the bell, go to 3 dots, go to notifications. So here, in general, you have a host. Now notice here, right? And if we go back, I go back to the site. The site only has 4 languages, right? But on my user general settings, I have more than 4. I have all these other languages, right? These are all languages that are selected on the platform level. So that's really controls. This way, obviously, Linux with multiple sites. Sometimes users can have access to multiple sites, right? And so this way, Linux does not restrict you. Does not restrict a user to choosing the type of language they want, even if that language is not available in that specific site from a contribution perspective. But this is the interface language, right? Which is essentially reflected from the platform settings, platform language settings. So here, this is where we kind of choose the default language. Default language is Russian. Let me actually change that to back to English, just for fun. And let me say. So first, we have, let's go to navigation. The navigation is a very interesting use case. It was a long time ago that LumApps had a button where you can kind of choose a custom navigation in a custom language, but that's not the case today, thankfully, because that created a lot of confusion. Instead, there's actually options where you can customize each individual navigation element, and you can choose, first of all, I can choose to here to translate this language, this navigation element to a specific language of choice. I can do it here. So here's the French translation, right? I have here, maybe in fact, let me delete it so it doesn't have it here. I'll save. And then here, always remember to save the navigation if you're making changes. If I go back to news settings, then you can also choose, which is a very cool thing, which language would you like this navigation element to appear for. So now, because it's blank, it appears for all the languages. But it's actually a nice thing. You can restrict uh, any individual navigation item to a specific language, which really opens up the scope of how much more things. So it's really, before it used to be that you can restrict navigation element items only by groups. Now you can restrict them by language as well, which is really nice. Obviously, there's always a downside, right? Downside is that we have these kind of things that are restricted by language. It might be that as an admin, you'll see a ton of things, especially in the back office, which is always a little bit of a management nightmare. It could be, right? And that's where some good practices come in. But at the end, from a user experience perspective, building these kind of things, it's always good to know that navigation element can be restricted or can be viewable to a specific language, which is a very powerful feature. Um, so the always, even though I can go and individually choose which language, the language here, that's nice. The recommended approach is typically managing the translation, especially for titles, where possible, on the page level. Now, this is a page. I know this is a page. Uh, this is a page. In fact, so this is a page. This is a page. This is not a page. Well, I'm sorry, news is not a page. Knowledge base is a page. So in a case like a knowledge base, the recommendation is always not to change the navigation, not to change translation in the navigation, but rather to change it in the content directly. Leave this blank, it'll be managed directly. For these types of elements, it's always good practice to change them here, obviously, because there's no other place where you can change them. So let's actually leave this window open. Let's go back to our home page. Let's build out a couple of things real quick. So now we're here on the home page. I see this page here is in English, right? Now, if I go to my language settings, I'm going to go general, um, and let's say I'm going to change my language, main language, not from English. I'll make it French, and then alternative will be, let's say, Russian. I'll do save. Now, once I save, and it's going to take a minute. Okay. Now you see immediately I have, so the English remained English, the knowledge base, because that was translated on a page level, that's translated to French, but these are translated, these retain their English translation. Now I can go back here and I can put in French, let's say news, news in French will be, I believe, you will keep me honest, it will be actualities. So here I'm going to change it like this. Then departments in French, we'll make it here in navigation. So again, we click here, departments, okay. And then we have, and then here, let's employee resources. Maybe let's change this one as well. Let's change this to French. Okay, done. Save. Save. Now let's refresh. And I would expect now this changes. Voila, this now this change takes language. Now let's go a little bit deeper. When I go to the homepage here, I would like to have some this was already obviously translated dynamically, but things like this are still in English. These notifications, if I scroll down, some of these are already in English. Tags are in French. I translate those already, but not these types of contents. So so first, if I click on this title, um, click on this title, and if I want to edit the title, so I'll go ahead and edit in French. And because even despite it not having a title here, I know the title exists because obviously it's in English right now. But let's change this to French. Then let's save. Okay, and then let's go back to our page here. And now it appears in French. So that's great. And then as we go down, I just want to show you a couple more really nice features. So if I want to update this content, for example, oops, this is not the right one. Let's update, let's say this one. So I'm going to update this one. And LumApps has a really nice feature where contents that I have, I can just click it, translate, translate the language, and it kind of use Google APIs to translate here. Same thing here. I know the content exists here as well, right? I just take it, translate, boom, translate that to me in English. Here we don't have the same. We don't have the same option, but let's just save this one for now. And this is a really nice feature which makes it very simple to click, translate, and the content will appear in that language. Now, when I go back to the homepage, the homepage will the language here will be um, French. The title is still English, but I didn't change the title, but that's okay. We can change the title to French. We simply need to find a good translation, and here just click on this title widget, and we copy and paste the French title here. And C creates a French URL. There's no conflicts at all, and it'll be nice and clean. Now, I know we're running over time, just to show you. So here's how we now this is set in French, right? And obviously, if it's different language, if it's Spanish or Russian, it'll be set to that as well. Finally, let's go to a a community. So in the communities, LumApps, what it does is it essentially asks you can't there's no way to translate a post into multiple languages, but it again uses these APIs. You can click translation and use the translation in French or in your primary set language. So this is how it works in LumApps, and this is really there's a lot more to discuss, but the key takeaways I would say for languages, number one is make sure that for main navigation items, which are pages, translate those natively in the page itself where possible, and make sure the language settings are set up correctly in the site level. Okay, and with that in mind, thank you all very much for tuning in. I know we're a little over. Your feedback matters. Please come to the Hive. Give us some feedback here. Here's our partner space, partner ADC. Click take a survey. Take the survey. We say and give us your insights, your inputs. And finally, what's next? We're gonna have an off week, March 4th, March 18th. We'll have a LumApps ADC live about LumApps mobile. LumApps mobile basics. And we'll talk about mobile configuration, settings, and some practices. Thank you all very much. Ivo, thanks for tuning in, and have a good day.